Blazers. I'm Dan,
I'm Joe.
and today we're going to talk about the cost of living in Thailand. But before we do, Joe,
Please like, share, subscribe, bang the notification button, and also share with your family and friends. Get this video out. It will help us. It will also help you.
that's right. So today we're going to talk about living in Thailand and how much it costs. Now, did you know you can live comfortably in some parts of Thailand for less than 1,000 US dollars? Of course, we're
Yes.
not places like Bangkok or Phuket, but go on, Joe. Can you please paraphrase?
Well, you can in the outskirts of Bangkok. Look, let's be honest. Thailand has gotten more expensive in the last 10 years. But however, so is the rest of the world. And I've had some questions recently of some people asking, can I live here in Thailand for under $1,500 a month? You can, but don't think you're going to party like a rock star every night. And can you live in Bangkok? Are you going to live in a souk? I doubt it. But if you go past a nut, past a nut, you can find some great deals. You can also find some great deals in Pattaya and in Hua Hin. And today, folks, we are going to talk about that. So, what this video is going to reveal is give you some surprising truths about the cost of living. And there's a lot of places that people don't know. So, Dan, tell us about the types of housing.
Some places, once you get away from tourist attractions and certain conveniences, you can get fully furnished houses for $200 or less.
This is true, and I, knowing that we were going to do this video, I did some checking. Now, if you go down past the Nut, for example, by the BTS stations, I'm going to focus on that in Bangkok. BTS, how about by Samran Station, I saw some buildings for about 7,000 baht. So depending on the exchange rate, give or take, it's about $200 a month, maybe more. They had only that. It had a studio with an AC, with air condition. And believe it or not, it's comfortable. I checked the apartment for myself. You can live there. My friend and his wife does. And folks, I need to apologize. I probably should have took some pictures. But in the future, I promise I'll get those pictures to you. Dan, you got anything to add? We'll start in Bangkok. Go ahead.
All right. I myself lived a little past En Nut some years back, about 3 years ago. For a two-bedroom apartment, or two-bedroom condominium, I was paying less than 400 US dollars per month. And electricity and water were both reasonably priced as well. If you really want to go on the outskirts, away from any BTS stations or MRT stations, you can find studio or even possibly one-bedroom apartments for less than 200 as well.
That's true. Even though Samran's considered by most people Bangkok, it borders, I believe, Samut Sakhon. But I know plenty of people who live past down that area and are living for under 10,000 baht a month as far as paying rent. Under 10,000 baht a month.
10,000 baht's about 300 US dollars.
Yeah, well, they're paying under it. Okay, I'll put it like this: between 7 and 10,000 baht a month, people are paying around that. And now, what about the electric bill? What's the average cost of an electric bill in a condo like that?
Ooh, that really varies. It depends on what time it is, because during the summertime, which is mostly April and May, air conditions are on almost 24 hours a day when people are home. But
yes,
on average, some say it's between $30 and 100 US dollars, but it can be more. Yeah, April and May expect higher bills, but during the slightly cooler seasons or slightly cooler months, you'll pay a bit less if you use a fan. Yeah.
Right. So I would say, look, I'm going to go on the high side. Between 1,500 and 3,000 baht a month. Now, I've heard some people claim they can find cheap condos between Soi 1 and Soi 55 in Bangkok. Maybe you can, but I'm telling you, that's becoming less and less. Maybe the Thais can, but it's becoming less and less for expats. Now, on Soy 22,
Yeah.
which is close, not far from Terminal 21, and Soy is short for Sukhumvit, Soy 22 on Sukhumvit Road. There is a set of condos on the right-hand side. I can't remember. It's something mansion. There is a set of condos you can get between 7 and 10,000 baht a month, but they fill up fast. So, again, you can live for under $1,500 a month, but you have to be creative, selective, and keep in mind maybe you'll get lucky and find something on Sukhumvit Road, but that's becoming less and less
Oh
likely.
yeah.
You have to
Old
go down past.
it makes a difference too how old the buildings are. The more modern buildings, they're much more. The reason why some people get such a good deal for low prices because the building's just so old and basically decrepit. That's just a reality. But now, Joe, let's talk a little bit about food and dining.
Right.
Okay. Now, I personally like Thai food myself. Thai food, local food is cheap, assuming you don't go to high-end restaurants. In fact, I like Isan food, which is food from the Northeast.
Right.
And sometimes I just take it to go at nearby carts. Sometimes I'll sit at a low-end restaurant, and I could do that almost every day. That's no problem for me. But some people don't. If you ate Isan food 3 times a day, you could keep your belly full for less than $10. For $10 a day.
Yes. The carts are cheap. And I've always said if the Thais are eating it, chances are it's fine. You can get chicken, you can get rice, all different kinds of soup. As a matter of fact, you'll see in Bangkok all sorts of food carts. And you go to night markets, you'll see food carts. Now, real quick, I also want to shift to Pattaya as far as living.
Oh, yeah, don't forget about food courts as well.
Yes.
There are courts.
Yes. But we're talking Bangkok, but let's not forget Pattaya.
I'm talking Thailand. Yeah, nationwide.
I know, but we're again, far as living, there's a place called 9 Carat Condo in Pattaya City. You can get a condo with AC for 5,000 baht a month. As far as food carts go, it's the same thing as Bangkok. There's plenty of food carts. There's food courts in a central mall. In the Terminal 21, there's a food court in both Pattaya and Bangkok. Most malls have food courts. So if you don't want to eat in the high-end restaurants, most malls have food courts. As you walk the streets, in both Pattaya and Bangkok, you will find cheap food, soups, cheap fruits, fish. For under $150 a month, you can do it.
Something that makes Thailand very unique. Most parts of the world, you save money by buying groceries and cooking at home. Thailand, it's nearly the opposite. You can go and buy food from local carts or food courts or whatever, and often you'll spend less doing that than you will going to the store and stocking up on goods.
Now, we've mentioned this in past videos, and I understand. But keep in mind, if you're going to eat in Western restaurants, a lot of the times, the prices are going to be almost similar to back home. Maybe a little cheaper, but similar. If you're going to drink in bars, especially in tourist areas, it's going to be similar. Now, again, we're talking for people who are living on a below $1,500 a month budget. There is wiggle room here. You can survive here. And again, I can't emphasize it enough. You can eat for less than $150 a month, $200 a month. You can get a place for under 10,000 baht a month with air conditioning. And again, it might not be the fanciest high-end, but it's nice and it's livable. You can do, and possibly some of the places and I know in Pattaya, a couple of them I've seen have pools. So now the 9 Carat condo I mentioned earlier in Pattaya City, and why do I mention that? Because I know people that actually live in that building, and they're paying like 5,000 baht, and the room is not bad. It does have AC. Now I don't remember if it has a pool or not because I didn't tour the whole building, but I was in a condo there, in an apartment there, and the guy was paying 5,000, but the room wasn't bad. It had AC.
Yeah. Oh yes, and as for transportation, that is crazy cheap as well. I mean, I once lived way on the outskirts, slightly outside of Bangkok. For me to get from my home to Victory Monument, which is one of the centers of Bangkok, it cost me less than $1, and that was about an hour ride on the bus. And
Yeah, public transportation, you can make it possibly for under $30 a month. Public transportation is cheap in Thailand.
sure is. In fact, um, I used to commute regularly between Hua Hin and Bangkok, and I'd pay about 180 baht each way, which is a little less than $6 for a 3 hour van ride.
Yeah, if you don't want to hire like a Grab driver, or say you want to go from Bangkok to Pattaya, for example, and say you don't want to hire a Grab driver or a Bolt driver, that can average between 1,500, 13 to 2,000 baht a month, give or take.
How much
You
is
can,
2,000? How much is 2,000 baht a month, Joe?
well, depending on the exchange rate, about $60, U.S. dollars, that is USD. So you can go to Ekamai bus station and Panchit bus station, and you can, for under 200 baht, take a bus from Bangkok to Pattaya. It's about $6, $5 or $6. So if you're on that strict of a budget, now they'll make some stops on the way, but again, transportation is cheap. Just grabbing I use Bolt and Grab down here in Pattaya. It's
Thanks.
cheap. It's not even sometimes not even a dollar.
That's correct. Yeah, just today I went all the way across town. That was at least a 25-minute ride. It only cost me about $6.
Yes, yes, exactly. And in both Bangkok and Pattaya and Hua Hin too. And the reason I'm not talking about Hua Hin much, I haven't been to Hua Hin in a while, so I don't want to put out misinformation. But from what people tell me, Hua Hin's pretty cheap too, as far as living. Um, but the bulk of the expats go to Bangkok, Pattaya. I think a portion go to Phuket, and a portion now are going to Hua Hin. And there are some that go to Isan, Sarin, maybe stay in the outskirts. And obviously, when you're not in the tourist areas, it's obviously cheaper. And again, we've talked in past videos about pros and cons. But transportation in the main areas, I'm telling you, is very, very cheap. Now, if you have, now again, we're talking to the people $1,500 and below. So, but if someone asked me about owning a car, you can, but new cars are more expensive. There's a import tax. They tend to be more expensive.
Oh yeah, it's what,
Yes.
100%. So 100% import tax if you're buying a new car. Some cars you can get here um, under certain brands that are if they're manufactured here in Thailand. But other brands, if you want a fancy car like a Mercedes or any of that, you're going to pay at least double of what you would in a Western country. I mean, that's just a given. If a lot of expats get motorbikes as well, I certainly wouldn't. The roads aren't exactly safe as far as drivers are concerned.
Well, look, some expats have motorbikes, some don't. I'm not going to tell people what they should get or what they shouldn't get. That's their decision. But like I said, I'm comfortable with the transportation and with what they have here, and it's pretty cheap. So I personally don't need a motorbike or a car, but I understand there are some people, there is a good portion of the expat community that has a motorbike, and some higher end expats have a car. But I do see expats that are living on a small pension. Some of them have a motorbike, and some even have modern bicycles. And again, I haven't been
Yeah,
a big bicycle rider, but the more modern ones where you can pedal and it go, the modern ones, they use that.
kind of like a moped. By the
Yeah,
way,
I
most
should say smart bike, or like a moped, and you don't need a license. You don't need no kind of license for any of those. So some people do that.
right. But at the same time, that's the whole point because a lot of people don't need licenses or it's just not well enforced for that matter. That's why road accidents are so high. In fact, some years ago, Thailand was rated #1 for road accident deaths in the world.
True, but again, I'm not going to tell people not to get motorbikes. That's their decision. That's
Correct.
their decision. They can look at that themselves. Like I said, me personally, I don't feel the need for one. But that's just me. But again, transportation is cheap.
And by the way, if you something else you can do ride sharing. Let's say you want to save a little bit of money and you want to go a long distance. With some people, you can share a Grab or a Bolt. And that's
Yes, very, very, very true. And I did that today. I ride shared, and it's it's extremely cheap. So again, if you feel trapped, whatever country you're in, and you want to make a move, you say, "Well, I have a small pension." This is who we're talking to tonight or today, wherever you're at. You can do it. Dan, let's as we talk transportation, let's shift gears to healthcare, public versus private hospitals. What do you think?
Before we do about the BTS and the MRT in Bangkok, we should do that before we switch gears. I mean, the SkyTrain and the Underground, those are also cheap and very convenient. But anyways, I just want to get that there.
No, that's true. That's a good point. They are. And if you want to get a card, like a card for the BTS and MRT, now we keep in mind you got to show your passport, and I think the card is like 100 baht, which is like $2 or $3 USD, and then you can put money on that card, maybe have a monthly budget depending on how much you use the MRT below ground and the BTS above ground. But you got to bring your passport. You can get the card for cheap, and then you can decide how much money you want to put on those particular cards. The MRT card is blue, and I believe the BTS card is a yellow.
Yeah, yellowish orange. Not the quiver.
Yeah. And if you're 60 or above, there is senior discounts.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind also. If you're above 60, you'll get certain benefits. Transportation discounts on the MRT and BTS. Even going to the movies, you may, if you get a senior card, you will get a discount. So Thailand does respect senior citizens. So there is some benefits and discounts you can get. So thanks for bringing it up, Dan, about the MRT and BTS.
All right. Okay, now let's do it. Let's do what you suggested earlier. Let's switch gears to healthcare and about public hospitals versus private hospitals. I know from personal experience, public hospitals are not good. They're free to Thai people, or mostly free, but you pretty much get what you pay for. The lines are long, the bureaucracy is awful, the conditions just aren't very well. Private hospitals, on the other hand, they vary. They're basically like hotels as far in terms of variety. Some are mediocre and have some, doable conditions. Some you'd think you're in a 5-star hotel. And my own story is more than a decade ago, I had my tonsils removed. And where I was staying at the time, Bangkok Hospital, it was like having a suite. And how much did it cost me? It would cost me less. Okay, the co-payment cost me less than the surgery would have. I'm sorry, wait. No, the surgery itself in Thailand would have cost me less than the co-payment would have in America alone. I mean, it's insane. You can get medical treatment for like 1/10 of the price you can in America. The reason why you see so many Americans doing medical tourism in Thailand is because they can't afford treatment in their country, and why you see so many Europeans, Canadians, Australians, and New Zealanders is because they just can't afford to wait.
And once again, hospitals, okay? And we went over this in the past a little bit. Of course, the most expensive hospital in Thailand is Bumrungrad. Okay, I think we've mentioned that in the past. Mm-hmm. Ran by a U.S. administrative company now. But there's plenty of good quality hospitals that are cheaper than Bumrungrad. For example, in Pattaya, you got Bangkok Pattaya that gives good quality medical care and is cheaper. So Suamivaya Hospital in both Bangkok and Pattaya. Now, There are government hospitals that you can use in Thailand, like the government Navy hospital is cheap, is much cheaper. But remember, it's busy because it's all hospitals are busy. But what I'm trying to say, this is a government hospital, so
Yeah.
keep in mind wait times can vary. But one thing I noticed about hospitals in Thailand, when I've needed to go to the hospital and get checked, I was able to get in the same day. All the
Mm-hmm.
time. There was no the bureaucracy in Thailand. It is a lot less now. So, Sawimive Hospital, they have one here in Pattaya. They have one in Bangkok, and that is cheaper than Bummingrad. And yes,
Pattaya.
yes, and the medical care is quite good there. It is quite good. They have police hospitals. I had a friend of mine get stitched up and taken care of off a bad gash in his arm, and it wasn't even 3,000 baht.
Which
Um,
that's less than 90 US dollars.
yes, so we still recommend you have some kind of medical insurance. And let me brief this real quick. They, if and again, I don't know about England and Australia, but I'm going to tell U.S. citizens this: if you have Medicare, Medicaid Part B, I haven't seen any Thai hospital. What I mean is, I don't think Medicare and B they don't pay for it here. So you might have to go back to the states. If some of you are just going to rely on coming here on just my Medicare, Medicaid, if you're outside of the U.S., I don't believe that's covered. Now I've quite a few expats that have come over here on that, and they've had
Yeah.
to pay out of pocket.
And
Now,
there's something else I want to add to that too. And be careful of some insurance here that cater to Westerners here because, yeah, technically they're legit, but they use all kinds of technicalities not to pay you. I know that from experience once.
yes, but
It's
I'm gonna explain to some expats here. Retired military, there are hospitals that take TRICARE. Okay, if you need you can message me. I'll tell you what those hospitals are. Vets who are 100% VA disabled. There's a program called Foreign Medical Program. I can tell you about that. You can message me. There's hospitals that take that, and that will cover the hospital will bill the VA for your service-connected disability. And again, I can go in more detail on that privately. And as far as TRICARE for military retirees, I can go into more detail on that if that's requested on another video. But those insurance types are taken, and so and I know the hospitals that take them. I know the hospitals that will bill those institutions directly. Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I know people that have that, and hospitals. Blue Cross and Blue Shield will reimburse. So if you have to pay out of pocket, they will reimburse. Now I don't know about every insurance company in Thailand, but due to some of the volunteer stuff I do, I know about that.
all right. By the way, I'd like to talk a little about entertainment and lifestyle. Now, a regular gym can be a little more expensive in Thailand than in the West, but
Yes.
a luxury gym, you'd be surprised with what you can get. Um. Anyway, and so also, as far as lifestyle goes, if you like to party a lot, you can spend easily $100 a night without blinking, or a lot more than that. But if you go to the right places, say local places,
Right.
you can look. One night, friends and I we drank towers and towers of beer. We didn't even pay $50 altogether. It really depends on how you live, where you go, and but you can entertain yourself pretty well cheaply, and yeah, if you don't do it too often, it won't eat away at your budget.
Now, from Pattaya to Bangkok, the difference to me from what I've analyzed so far, I've lived in Bangkok for a while. Now I'm in Pattaya. I would say the average, being conservative, it's 30 to 40% cheaper in Pattaya, and that's from what I've seen so far. And again, we're going to do some future videos on both of our condos, both Dan's and mine. And I'm going to tell you, for example, my condo, I'm directly on the beach, and it's below $1,000. Okay, Dan's is about, I would say, less than 500 or about. Am I right, Dan?
Yeah, that's correct. Less than 500, and I'm about a 10-minute walk from the
And
beach.
again, like I said earlier in the video, for entertainment purposes, the same thing with entertainment establishments. There are cheaper ones. Now, if you go in the tourist areas, you're going to pay a little more. But there are neighborhood bars. There are neighborhood cafes. There are, for those of you that smoke weed, there are neighborhood weed shops. And the neighborhood, the mom and pop shops, the daily needs stores tend to be a lot cheaper. Yeah, a lot cheaper. So if you go into the neighborhood establishment and not a tourist bar, you're probably going to pay less for alcohol
That's right.
than you would in Central Pattaya, or if you're in Bangkok, then Nana Plaza or Soy Cowboy. So keep that in mind. Can you live a quality life on $1,500 a month? Yeah, you might have to watch it a little bit, but yeah, I know people that do. I see it with my own eyes. I look. I'm not bragging or anything, but being helping out in the VFW, and I've gotten to know quite a bit of expats here, both in Pattaya and both in Pattaya and Bangkok. Even I have friends in Hua Hin and Phuket, and trust me, there's all sorts of income scales.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And by the way, I've been to other places like Phetchabun.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't have the same entertainment venues that, say, Bangkok or Pattaya do, but they do have lots of places like karaoke places. They do have family-owned restaurants and bars. You can party all night there and live very cheap. And Phetchabun is a place I saw a house, I think a 2-story house, for less than $200 per month, fully furnished.
I know I have friends that live in outside of Phuket or Turtle Beach and places around Thailand, and their pension's not that much. I don't want to say their names. I'm not going to out them, but they're happy. They're living. They're doing okay, and so can you. You just have to budget a little bit, but I sound like a broken record. Thailand can be as cheap as you want it to be, and as expensive as you want it to be. Not, especially when it comes to entertainment.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Now let's do a monthly budget breakdown. What would you say a low budget would be?
I personally break it down into 3 categories. You got your low budget, which is, to me, I'm going to be a little conservative, $1,500 and below.
Yeah.
And and you can live on that. Maybe you go out maybe eat in a restaurant. Maybe if you like Western food, maybe once a week. But if you eat off the carts and the markets, they have plenty of food markets and food courts in the malls. You can maybe, Dan, I would say $150 to $200 a month. We said that earlier in the video. So if you budget, that could be your food budget, and maybe you go out once a week or twice a month. I don't know. It depends on what your entertainment, what you like.
And for a medium budget, I'd say 2,500. That's living pretty comfortably. That's going out a lot more, eating at a bit more places, doing a bit more domestic travel. 2,500.
And when you get above 3,000, that's and again, for the rent, I'm focusing on $1,500 pension, $1,500 and below. In Pattaya, I've seen decent condos, decent studios for 5,000 baht. You go in the 5 to 10,000 baht range. In Bangkok, like we said at the top of the video, the farther you go past Ekamai, and you get past Ekamai, you get past down in that BTS area or that MRT area, you can get some cheap condos, but they're good quality. Like we talked about, buy a BTS or MRT line, Samran Station.
Yeah,
Or if you want to go across the river past Sal, you go past Salinang.
Thonburi. Go to Ton. Once you go across the Chao Phraya River in the Thonburi, yeah,
Yeah,
housing prices drop a lot.
yeah. I taught years ago at a temple school in Wudakat in Bangkok, and it was right by the BTS. It had, matter of fact, it was a big BTS station. Had about 4 areas: gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, gate 4. Talking years ago, so I'm going off memory. I still have friends living out there. So like so what I'm saying, and it's cheap, and you can live cheaply out there. And excuse me, folks, I have a personal situation going on, so if you hear that something going off, that is my computer. But yes, so yeah, you can live cheap and you can live comfortable.
Sure can. So anyway, conclusion, final thoughts. Do you have anything to add, Joe?
No, I think again, some of this stuff may be a little regurgitated, but a lot of people are asking, so that's why we're doing this video again. And I'm sure maybe if we miss something, I'm sure someone's going to feel free to add in the comment, which is fine. Please do. We want you to.
Yeah, ask questions, and we're happy to answer.
And the reason someone asked me, we didn't talk about Hua Hin or much about Phuket, because the truth is I haven't been there in a while. I've been to Bangkok and Pattaya the most, and those are the places I'm familiar with. Like I said, I do have friends in Hua Hin and in Phuket. I don't want to give secondhand information.
Right. I used to live there, but I lived in a place that catered to students, and
Right.
so it was a little different. And there's only so much of Hua Hin I got to see without a car. So that's for another video, though. Anyways, so remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell as it helps the algorithm. Open up your independent mind and blaze.
Take care.